back to another episode on Proven Power Cycles. Today we got a brand new ZX-6R 2024 and he's already got a few mods done to it. So I like this new black. It's all basically everything is blacked out. I love it. There's not a lot of shiny parts on it. I'm a big fan of like gloss black, flat black, things like that. I kind of love the stealth look. So this bike hits it on the nose. So we have the owner actually here with us, and we're gonna get him to talk about the bike a little bit and kind of just walk us through what he's done so far, and then what we're gonna do, as far as taking over, and you know, we're gonna retune it and whatnot. So anyway, yeah, let's talk about it. All right, so we got Andrew here, and Andrew, say hi.
Hello, everybody.
So tell us a little bit about the bike.
So the only things I've really done to this bike is I put on a full system. So I put on an M4 GP19 full system. I put on smog block off plates whenever I get all that done. The only other actual performance mod that I did was that mail-in flash, as he said. Everything else was kind of, you know, personal preference mods. I put on new brake pads, stuff like that. That doesn't really affect power. Put on new chains, sprockets.
So yeah, so real quick, so he's got the superlite sprockets, and he's got a DID. It's a 520 kit, DID, the X3. What we're gonna do right now, like we always do, we're gonna baseline the bike real quick. We're gonna see how it's sitting right now. It is de-restricted. He does have that mail-in flash like he stated earlier, so we're just gonna see what it's sitting like, and then again, we're gonna put on all these, or not all these, we're gonna do the velocity stacks. Now it's the Graves velocity stacks, the VE2s. Yep. So the VE2s are supposed to be like a better overall power gain, if you will. They're basically the combination stacks of short and tall. And then I believe the VE1s are the all shorts. That's mainly for like road course racing, drag racing, if you're doing any of that kind of stuff with the bike. That's all high RPM stuff. So anyway, we are, let's dyno it, or let's baseline it. I'm really curious to see what it makes. So we're gonna set it up, we're gonna get the bike back warmed up, and then do some runs. Look, guys, mail-in flashes, it's most of them usually add extra fuel to be safe, okay? Like, they don't know what your bike has done to it. They don't know your environment, more or less. So typically they add fuel in there, extra fuel, to be on the safe side. They don't want your bike blowing up. So keep that in your mind as we go through this graph, okay? So Andrew was basically asking where the air fuel needs to be. And if we look here, this red dotted line is where we want to be, which is, I have it targeted at 13.2. Now, every tuner or whoever is operating the dyno, we can change that line wherever the hell we want. So if we're doing like nitrous or turbo or something like that, and it's a built motor, we're usually shooting for a much richer, so a lot more excess fuel of an enrichment. So we're usually looking for like an 11.7, 11.8, depending on the power level. It can go up or down depending on how much power, what kind of setup they are, right? And the type of fuel. With that being said, this one is an overly rich mixture, and he was just telling us how he was only getting about 80 miles, roughly 80, yeah, so about 80 to 90 miles per tank, actually. So, which kind of makes sense, because again, we're seeing a very rich enrichment here. The mixture is very, very rich, which means there's a lot of excess fuel going into the system, which again, is something that, it's a typical thing that we see on mail-in flashes. That's a typical thing. Again, they want to be safe. So the way I always like to describe it to people, to kind of help them know, because a lot of times people kind of get the lean and rich verbs, basically, that verbiage, they get it kind of mistaken a lot. So, and they also, a lot of people don't understand like the target air fuel. So the target air fuel, we want it to be a 13.2 or so. You know, it depends on where you're at in the power band, but needless to say, this guy has an 11.7 air fuel up at the higher RPM, which again, it's just drinking fuel. So the way I always like to tell people is, think about this as like your horizon line, and you're looking out over the ocean, right? Rich would mean excess fuel, which would mean basically you have excess liquid. So think of this as like the ocean, and then this is lean, which would be too much air. So think of this as your atmosphere. So you have too much air, not enough liquid. You know, too much liquid, not enough air. And here is where we live on the surface, literally, of the planet, which is the perfect little spot. This is where we breathe. So for NA motors, regular naturally aspirated motors, this is like a typical air fuel. However, we're gonna play with it and we're gonna see where the bike likes to make power. So some bikes will run it a little bit leaner, especially some of the track bikes. Sometimes we'll do that because, again, it will kind of have a little snappier throttle, a little bit more power. But you gotta find the sweet spot. So typically with street bikes, no matter what, I do leave them on the richer side up top regardless, just so we don't run into you know, issues with the durability on the motor. So I wanted to take that moment though. It was a great little thing that Andrew brought up, so I wanted to take that moment to kind of show you guys that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and we're gonna get started on this bike. We're gonna start breaking everything back down and installing all these mods. So all right guys, see you in a second. It's actually about the storm here. We got a really bad rain band basically coming in off the Gulf, off the west, and it's coming through. So right now we have almost every single bike inside the shop, so it's cramped. I'm sitting right next to the anniversary edition ZX-14R. It's kind of cramped in here, but anyway, I just wanted to give you an update basically where Lewis is currently on the ZX-6R. So right now he is in the process of taking apart the OEM throttle, or the OEM velocity stacks. And what we're also going to do, what we always do, is we always take this foam material out too, out of the airbox while we have it all apart. So it's a little, you know, it helps out a little bit. But anyway, we're going to take these rubber boots out, and we are getting ready to install the Graves velocity stacks. The quality of the Graves is badass, man. They have such good quality. So basically this is going to be a shorty. This is more or less going to sit in here. Now there's a boot that goes with this, okay? Yeah, this is what Lewis was pointing out. There are boots that go to this, but I just wanted to give you like kind of an idea as to how it's going to look. So more or less they're going to look something along the lines of this, just mirrored on this side as well. But you want the two long ones to be in the middle, and then the shorties are going to be on the outside. So again, just to let you guys know, and again, I just kind of threw these in here. I'm not really, they need the boots, but I'm just throwing them in there. This is real ovally. Yeah, I like that. So they need the boots to go along with it. It's gonna sit inside that boot, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys somewhat of an idea. So here is what it's supposed to look like. Now, we got the foam all out of the airbox on the sides and on the bottom here. We also got the stacks installed. Again, man, Graves, you guys crush it. Great craftsmanship, amazing quality. I just, beautiful work, guys. Honestly, beautiful work. I love it. Good quality. It's nice. It's rigid. See, you can't wiggle them. They're in there. They're billet. They are nice. The machining is nice. It's very smooth. The transition is nice and smooth. This is a high quality product, honestly. So, all right, and then we're gonna finish it off with a little orange goodness here. So that's about it. Yeah, so we're gonna slap it all back together. Now, admittedly, let's dance. Admittedly, the dyno is taken up. We're about to get smacked with this storm. There's a bad storm coming in, so I'm trying to hurry up with the tune on the dyno right now. That customer, she's trying to come pick up early tomorrow morning. So, and this storm's supposed to last basically the rest of the day. So we're trying to hurry up on the dyno for that. But once we're done with that, then we're gonna transition over to the ZX-6R. We're gonna get that on the dyno, and we'll get that thing underway, I should say, with the ECU flash, the custom flash and dyno tune. So yeah, man, I'm really curious to see what this thing lays out. The last one we did was in the 120s with a similar setup. Similar, not the exact same, but kind of similar. He had chain and sprocket, I believe, filter, stacks, and full exhaust. And I want to say after the tune, we got them up to like 123 to 125 range. So we'll see. We got the ZX-6R all wrapped up. Lewis banged out the bearings. So we have the new ceramic wheel bearings in, and we have the stacks obviously in the air filter, and we gutted out the airbox a little bit. We took out the foam rather. So anyway, we got on the dyno. We put a little bench flash in there. This is just a generic bench flash that we provide. So we're gonna see what it does real quick, and then we'll start the tuning process and going through and doing all the fine tuning here on the bike. So let me kick it on. Let's warm it up real quick, and then we'll start doing the runs. Wrapped up with that ZX-6R, and it made some drastic changes. So the blue line was how he came in. Now remember, we did add some parts to this bike. And this is, I want to be very clear, all right? I don't want this to be like a, oh, they were talking crap about you, or oh, they were talking crap by another shop, or whatever. Not the case, okay? We are comparing two totally different things here. We're comparing a mail-in flash with older part, like with parts that you already had on the bike, versus newer parts, better parts, and an actual custom dyno tune, okay? So it's not really a good apples to apples comparison, okay? Just remember that part of it as we go through these numbers. With that being said, all right, let's analyze it now. So the blue was the previous one, how he came in. It was running considerably rich, but again, you know, it's a mail-in flash. They don't know it, you know, they don't know exactly what they're targeting for because they're not on a dyno. So with that being said, it was running substantially rich. We were at 11.78, 11.78 again, 12.2, 12.4, 12.2, 12.4, and then we have an actual little restriction here up top, which this one's pretty hard to get out. Notice how our power band holds steady all the way to the actual limiter here, which now there's still some stuff in the software that we have to get figured out in order to rev this thing a little bit further, because ideally I would like this to rev out just a nip further, maybe another 200-300 RPM, and we'll be in the sweet spot. I think once we start to have that back end come down a little bit, then it'll be a nice curve, and we can call it. But anyway, we still were pulling power all the way to the limiter now with the new tune and the new stacks and everything. Now, and I've said this previously, but these little blips, you know, we have these little blips every now and then with the air fuel. We have a little low spot here, a little lean spot here, and then it kind of evens out again. These things, I usually, this is like a 2-3% most of the time correction. Yeah, 3%. Yeah, about a 3% correction and about another 3% correction. Yeah, so very minimal correction that needs to be done in these spots, okay? So this is stuff that I usually get done. I don't like going over and over and over. We run the bike enough as it is. I usually give the bikes a considerable amount of brake time as well to cool down in between. So, but anyway, I usually touch all this stuff up at the end. And again, 2 percentage points, 3 percentage points is not going to make or break the motor. So, especially when we're dealing with AFRs like this. So, again, we do touch that up near the end. But other than that, AFRs look great. Scroll this down so we could actually see some power numbers here. So, mid-range here, we're at like 9K. We had a difference of 72 wheel horsepower all the way up to 81. So, I mean, that's a 9-wheel gain. That's a pretty decent jump with some parts and a full tune. Here we got 5 foot-pounds of torque. And here we'll measure something up top here. So, let's measure basically right at the peak. We'll measure right here at peak. So, it's about 13.8, roughly 13.7, 13.8. We gained about 4 foot-pounds of torque, and we picked up an additional, what is that, 11 wheel? Yeah, basically 11 wheel horsepower up top. So this thing, I mean, this is a very linear power band all the way to red line or the rev limiters. So this power band should be incredible. Now look at the final numbers. We ended with 127 wheel horsepower and 50 foot-pounds of torque. These numbers are amazing. So for those shops that are saying that these new ZX-6Rs are not putting out that good of a power band unless you really modify them, I don't, honestly, man, between the stacks, the filter, and the exhaust and a tune, those are really, really good numbers. Again, considering it's only a 600cc bike. Now, admit it's a 636, but still, like, this is what an older 750 would make back in the day, like an 04, 05 Gixxer 750. Like, these are kind of those types of numbers, and this is with a pipe and a tune. So this 636, these new 636s are pretty stout. They're not weak by any means. So they just take a little bit of loving, a little bit of tuning, and you know, obviously some good parts, and you can make some damn good. Now this is on pump gas too. This isn't on any kind of race gas. There are some shops out there that'll throw race gas in it, and they'll tune it with the race gas in it and be like, yeah, look what we made on our setup. And then later on, they'll be like, oh yeah, it was tuned on MR12, you know. But they kind of failed to mention it at the beginning. So considering this is on straight 93 octane pump gas, I'm freaking happy. I'm super happy with the results, and the owner should be too. I know he's been itching. He's been asking me when the video is going to upload. So I know he's excited. He's loving the bike. So anyway, I really hope you enjoy this video. And yeah, man. And give us your feedback, guys. Tell us what you think about the bike. Tell us what you think about the mods that we've done. Tell us what you think what else we could do to pull some more power out of this thing. So I'm curious to see what you guys' thought process is on that. So leave us some love, leave us some comments, leave us some feedback. And if you guys haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. With your support, we're able to grow this thing and make it badass. So we have a couple of really cool updates for you guys. Oh, I can't wait to do it. I am itching to give you guys the updates. We're just waiting for some more stuff to come in, and then we're going to give you guys some big news. So thanks for the support, guys. We love you guys. Be safe out there. We'll see you on another episode.